Okay, good evening and welcome to the South County Fire Board of Commissioners regular board meeting for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. I will go ahead and call us to order and ask everybody here to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, this evening, just as housekeeping matter, we have Commissioner Chan is excused. He is out of town. We have Commissioner Wankelman and Commissioner Wittes online. Oh, and Commissioner Rowland is also on Zoom. Okay, so next up, we have approval of the agenda, and I don't believe we had anything else for the agenda. Chief, anything else? Commissioners, board members, anything else for the agenda? If not, I'll move the adoption of the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fernhoff. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. That moves us forward on the agenda then to item number 4, which is the consent agenda. And that includes item 4A, which is the February 2026 payroll summary and authorization, and item 4B, which is the March 3, 2026 claims voucher totaling $2,328,496.14. I'll move with the adoption of those consent agenda items. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fernhoff. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the consent agenda items. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Well, that moves us forward on the agenda then to item number 5, which is 5A, the approval of the February 10, 2026 work session minutes. Those are in item number 5A. So I will move the adoption of the February 10, 2026 work session minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fernhoff. It's been moved and seconded to adopt those meeting minutes. In 5A, is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. That moves us forward in the agenda to item number 6, which is public comment. So we'll start first in the room and then go to our Zoom platform. Is there any request for public comment here in the room? Any request for public comment here in the room? If not, let me turn it over to Ms. Blankenship to see, do we have any request for public comment on our Zoom platform?
There is none.
All right, thank you, Ms. Blankenship. I'll come back to the room one last time. Any requests for public comment? If not, thank you. We will move forward in the agenda then to item number 7, which is the Fire Chief's report. Good evening, Chief Maxwell.
Thank you, Chair and board members and staff, liaison guest. I have a pretty quick report for you here tonight. So our main thing we're bringing to the board meeting tonight is kind of the final piece of our team with the CFP and bond work, which will be the municipal advisors. So that'll be the main thing staff's bringing to you tonight. We have been doing a lot of work on the CFP and preparing for the bond work. The staff's really been looking at what are the next steps with the organizational roadmap. Thank you very much for all the administration approvals, staffing approvals you did. And so now we're looking at the ops side and seeing what we might bring to you for approval on that side as the board requested. And we're also looking at the entire org chart just to set us up good for the future. We're evaluating our fire academies and regional training right now, and if we might need to do an additional academy. So we're doing a lot of work researching that with training. We've been working with the sheriff's office on radio interoperability issues. And then today we had our Station 22 kickoff, where we brought in this room the teams of our project management, Concertus, TCA, our architects, and then all the people on our team for that, to get that project going. So you guys will be seeing more come to you regarding that. And some good news. Those are all good news too, I guess. Our community paramedic program was asked to be presented in Orlando, Florida at EMS World. Also, Captain Sharp has been asked to present at it's the National Conference of State Legislators on how to tackle a lot of the things we're tackling in our community medic program. And there's also been some recent articles in the Herald and the Seattle Times that you may have saw. March 19th, at Station 21, we're having our annual awards presented. You should be receiving a flyer on all the great work that our people are doing, and we've given some awards to people outside our organization for their great work. And then last, we are doing our fire service prep courses every Friday this month. So people wanting to join the fire service can come and learn about fitness, nutrition, how to do resumes and interviews, trying to lower the barrier for people to get into the fire service, especially in our community.
Is that open to anyone?
Yeah. Yep. And with that, I will conclude my report and ask if you had any questions.
Questions from the board members for the chief on the chief's report? Any questions for the chief? All right, not seeing any questions. Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Well, that moves us forward on the agenda then to item number 8, which is our legal report with our general counsel, Richard Davis. Good evening, Mr. Davis.
Good evening. Not much to report on the legal side, but I did want to mention that if you look through our bills, you'll start to see some assistance by Allison Beard on matters involving South County Fire. Allison has been an attorney with our firm since 2019. She returned from maternity leave earlier this year, and she's joined our fire and EMS practice group. And so we've been getting her more involved in other aspects. She's been our expert for years now in public records and open government. And she's got a business background, so she'll be taking some of the laboring OR with regards to interlocal agreements and drafting of policies and things of that nature. The only other thing to report is, I know that commissioners don't tend to go to this, but another attorney in my office, Aaron Haynes, and I will be speaking at the Washington Fire Chiefs Conference in Wenatchee in May. I asked Aaron to come along because nobody wants to hear me drone on for 4 hours. But we're talking about collective bargaining and Fair Labor Standards Act. It's titled FLSA for Dummies. So, but I'm glad to have Aaron come on and help me with that. And that's all I have for tonight. If there's any questions, happy to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Davis? Sorry, Commissioner Vernon?
No.
Question? No, sorry. No, not seeing any questions. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
All right, thank you.
Okay, that moves us forward on the agenda then to item number 10, which is capital facilities planning, 10A. Sorry,
No union?
Oh, sorry, my mistake. Number 9, sorry. Yes, number 9, thank you. It is our union report, number 9. And let me just see, do we have anybody from Local 1828 that wants to make from a Local 1828 to make a report? No. Nope, not seeing anybody on from Local 1828. Thank you. We will move forward then in the agenda. Now to number 10, capital facilities planning, and 10A, which is the municipal advisory services for action. This is with Mr. Bothwell, right? Or Chief Maxwell?
Yeah,
or both of you.
Okay, thank you. I can tee it up really quick. So with the CFP where we're at with that, we're setting up a meeting between the board chair, the CFP chair, and the intergovernmental chair to have good communications among that. That was requested by the CFP chair. We're working with our bond attorney to start drafting the resolutions and get education ready around bond communications. Like I said, we had our kickoff meeting with our program manager and TCA. And then this is the last step we're bringing to you, will be the municipal advisor, which will help inform us on compliance and bond sales. And then up next in future meetings, we'll be bringing you a presentation on the status of all of our properties. and bond education. So just to orient everyone, and with that, I will turn it over to Chris.
I'm just here to answer questions.
Okay.
So
Are there any general questions from the board members? For Mr. Bothwell on the municipal advisor issue, Commissioner Furno.
CFO Bothwell, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. What should we be asking of you?
well, this topic's been discussed quite a bit with the Finance Committee, the CFP Committee, and then there was a presentation to the full board. I think it's been really comprehensive at this point. So I think that all the information that will help you make a decision has been presented. I'm just here to answer any last minute questions. I would offer that Commissioner Wonkelman had asked a question about, since we're not doing an RFP or an RFQ on this, how do we know that the fees are competitive?
Yeah.
Something along those lines in the CFP committee. And we did reach out to PFM, the folks that are that we're advancing as the provider we'd like to work with. And they provided some data that showed the fees for municipal advisory services for large bond issuances last year. And that was publicly available data. There was 6 issuances over $100 million last year, and the fee that they proposed is lower than 14 of the 17. So pretty good evidence that it's a good fee arrangement for us. And otherwise, I think that the discussion with the board has been pretty comprehensive. So
Terrific. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Any other general questions on the issue of the municipal advisor? And anything else, Mr. Bothwell, on the municipal advisor? We're just basically ready for action, I think. Okay. I will move that the board approve the engagement letter with PFM Financial Advisors. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve that engagement letter. Is there discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you both. All right. That moves us forward to item number 11, unfinished business and workshop and retreat for discussion. I think I've narrowed down, I'm hoping, which is a good date, far enough out that it can accommodate people's schedule, board member schedule, chief schedule, which is Monday, June 8th for I'm sorry, and this is not retreat. This is the spring workshop. So it would be a 1 day. Typically we start about 9, usually don't go later than 4, sometimes a little earlier than that. Here at our boardroom, lunch will be provided and a little breakfast, something to eat. So we can have a full day of working on items. So that's my proposal, to have it be June 8th. Some other alternatives are June 1st and May 18, all Mondays. So I wanted to see if there were thoughts particularly about June 8th. Commissioner Fernhoff says thumbs up.
Works for me.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'm only seeing thumbs up. So we will set, Ms. Blankenship, do we need a motion to adopt that as a work session day? Probably, I guess it's probably more thorough that way. Well, let's do it. All right. So I'm going to move that we set a workshop meeting for Monday, June 8th. Time to be determined, but likely 8 to 4 or 9 to 4. And we will have a special meeting that day as a workshop. So that's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt that June 8th as a workshop day. Is there discussion on the motion? Discussion on the motion. If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Sorry, just making a note here. Okay. All right. The other item is the retreat. We talked a little bit about it last time. I think we're just slightly closer to likely uh, early September, with enough time to put it together, one day, not here in the South County Fire Boardroom, but
Basement.
somewhere, not the basement, somewhere in Western Washington, but a one dayer, a one day. And so that it could possibly be a weekend day. It could be like a Friday. It could be a Monday. So that to be, and the content also to be determined. But narrowing down that a little bit, and hopefully have some more information later this month on like something more like I know that's not very concrete, but like at least we're a little bit closer. Were there any thoughts from our last discussion about retreat, in terms of particularly content or duration? Not as much location, but like the content. I did feel like from our last conversation, there was a desire to do a retreat, but the content of it was. I'll work on that, but if there are thoughts, Commissioner Wankelman, yes. Need a
Yeah,
thought.
as far as thoughts go, I definitely am in favor for the retreat, but I'm hoping that we can focus on items as far as basically building off the workshop, understanding uh, perspectives from different members, and growing as a team, and coming together as in a unifying way to step forward in the different projects that we have ongoing, in decision making, and aligning vision, more than the how to be a team type mentality, like some of the previous retreats that I've heard. And so I'm just hoping that we can really start stepping forward in what do we need to tackle, how do we want to tackle the different challenges that we're facing. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other thoughts? Okay, great, thank you. Let's see, that will move us forward then in the agenda to item number 12, new business, and particularly 12A, which is redistricting. Redistricting is back. And in being back for redistricting, we have back Bob Schweitzer, who has been our consultant and assisted us in the past with redistricting, and is a master of maps. So, Mr. Schweitzer, good evening, and thank you for coming back to help us kick off our redistricting needs this time around for a good reason, with Edmonds having joined South County Fire, and our need to redistrict and look at the data, look at the maps, and try and figure out what will work best for our process. So good evening.
Hello there. It's been a while. Miss
Yes.
you guys. Yeah, Edmonds added a significant amount of population, and so with that, needed to
Did you get into the meeting?
not yet.
Okay, I can have Jane share. He's prepared.
Oh, okay.
Just
Yeah.
do that. We're gonna put the main map up first.
So this idea
And Mr.
of
Schweitzer,
having
can you, because we have at least one new board member since our last redistricting effort, can you just talk a little bit about like what is the law around redistricting? Like kind of
sure.
what are some of the things that we as the legislative authority for this issue need to look at, and how do you work with the law to translate that into maps or lines on a map for our consideration?
Perfect. So every 10 years, after the census, every special purpose district must evaluate their director districts, commissioner districts, whatever the terminology is for your particular locale. And then we're wanting to make sure that there is parity between all of the districts, and those districts that are too high or too low need to be evened out in a productive manner, preferably not an unproductive one. So when it comes to redistricting, one of the best things to do when it comes to redistricting is to do the minimal amount of changes. the less changes you make when trying to make parity between the districts is the number one goal. There are 5 major rules that are in the RCW that we must follow. Each director district, commissioner district should be as equal as possible. They don't give you a number. That's for us to determine what is equal as possible. The next is the director districts must be contiguous. In the case of if you guys decide to pick up well, the island, we would need to have a way to connect to it contiguously. Same thing as if we were to expand Commissioner District 5, we wouldn't want to consider Director District 5 to picking up, Edmonds, because it's already, quite a distance away. There is no direct connection between those districts. The next is compactness. The districts should be as compact as possible. A circle is the perfect compaction. Square is the next level up. So it's the maximum amount of minimal amount of surface area to land area on the inside. It doesn't have to do with, you can have one commissioner district that has 1 square mile of people in it. Another could have 100 square miles. If they have equal population, they are equally as compact. It doesn't correlate to land area. The next is, oh gosh, you're testing my memory on that. The director district should neither favor nor disfavor a political party or racial group. If you had the Tulalip Indian Reservation in your director district, commissioner districts, we would want to take a good hard look at making sure that they are correctly and well represented, that they have the ability to elect people to the commission, not break them up, water their vote down. That would be called gerrymandering, and that would be a negative impact. When it comes to the redistricting aspect, we also want to make sure that we're not unfairly treating or overly fairly treating any particular commissioner. In the case of the example I provided here, I didn't actually look at anywhere where the commissioners lived. I drew this without favoring any commissioners, by disfavoring them all and not taking any of them into consideration as I drew these lines. So we want to equally treat all commissioners when we're creating these boundaries. It would be unwise to, pack them all into one, except for, one individual. That would potentially, make changes to the commissioner districts that we don't want to necessarily do. We want everyone to have an equal chance for the district they represent. Lastly, areas of common interest and the like. We want to take into consideration areas of common interest. Common interest would be, in this case, the cities. Mill Creek, Edmonds, Linwood, those types of things. We would want to make sure that we don't as equally break up a city unnecessarily for, to potentially impact their ability to have people that represents their community on the commission. So that is the main criterion by which I follow for redrawing the boundaries. Again, minimal changes is the at least should be considered. In this case, you're not making minimal changes. We're annexing a very large area population. We're adding into 42,865 people. So basically, whenever you are annexing an area, you have to consider the new population and how that impacts the current districts.
Mr. Schweitzer, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You've talked about population, and I see on your map, you indicate census 2020. The data that you're using, are you required to use the most recent census? Because it's now 2026, and the population of, you mentioned Edmonds or any of the other areas may be slightly different 6 years after that census. Is there, what data are you required to use for the redistricting?
Excellent question. It is the 2020 census. So each delineal census, the most current one is the one that we have to use going forward. Yeah, even projected data, it really isn't relevant. It's the only data that's, by law allowed for us to use.
Okay. And then, Mr. Schweitzer, there's since this the Edmonds annexed into South County Fire there last year, there's been a lot of attention in the media to gerrymandering and redistricting at the federal level, or in other states, I should say, and maybe even to some degree a little bit in this state too. Is there anything inappropriate about our redistricting process having brought Edmonds into South County Fire?
Well, when you've annexed in an area of that much, it's basically reapportionment at that point. We're not changing the number of districts, but we're growing the area. So it's not so much, you can look at it as reapportionment, you can look at it as redistricting. We're growing, we need to make adjustments for that growth. So this is very far away from anything to do with gerrymandering. You've annexed, and you need to adjust the new growth in population and evenly spread them amongst your commissioner districts.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the hierarchy of how you make decisions about it is first the minimum circumference and more like,
Population's number one.
I mean, population's even
Right.
in all the districts. And then you try to make them minimum circumference. You don't want a tall, skinny one going like the gerrymandering would do, would make them, weird little skinny lines.
Right.
So you made this map not knowing where any of us lived. What happens if two of us were in one of the areas? And I mean, it couldn't really be changed because it's too different now. And it had be, you can't really make adjustments, or what do you have to make? I mean, what happens for the existing commissioners that might be in the same, close to each other and have to be in
So in this particular plan, this is a perspective idea here.
Yeah.
So this initially was done purely from the vacuum of no commissioners ID'd, simply looking at where do I feel the best lines should be with that kind of a free form. The direction I went with this is Edmonds added into somebody. Most of the time, we've drawn the boundary line of the second west of 99. And so I've kept that and just simply grown the second district into Edmonds, then overpopulating it dramatically. At the next step that I had done in this particular plan was immediately go to the district furthest away. That being the fifth district that needed to grow and needed to grow. There's really only one direction it could grow. Logically, as I was looking at the city limits, as I was growing this, Mill Creek came into play as my recollection previously was I had a plan submitted where I had split Mill Creek 3 ways, and that that got some objections. And so we had to, twist things around. So in this particular plan, I tried to make sure that I've got all of Mill Creek into this plan. Another consideration that's specific to you guys that is one more stipulation beyond what is required by the law, is I also try to follow whole voting precincts when assigning the population. So I'm also trying to take into the consideration not splitting the precinct boundary lines. The county, I'm sure they would prefer me to not split a precinct ever, but they also, for the most part, don't care. But I also really don't want to make them work any harder than they do. So in this particular plan, I do have a couple of precincts split, but it's minimal effect on the population.
Did you get lucky? Did you go back later and put us like dots on the map and see if we worked out?
Oh, I have not looked at any
Oh,
of the,
really?
I have yet to receive the addresses for the commissioners yet, but this one I just took it from the vacuum. You can't unlearn something. So, if I knew where one dot was, I'd have a pretty good chance of remembering it, even if I just turned them off. So,
Can I interrupt? And
Yeah.
Commissioner Furnoff has a question.
Is it a requirement though that the commissioner lives within the district or no?
Yes.
So in this case where you've drawn District 2, and this is, I understand you didn't know where I lived, but I'm in the furthest northern portion of, I think it's District 4. So either I have to move or we got to change the map.
But there's a caveat, and I think maybe not at this meeting, but Rich Davis can assist us with. I believe the answer for changing a mid-cycle redistricting is you keep your seat until the end of your term. You can't be kicked out by the redistricting process.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
when you came up for election at your next term, you would need to live in whatever district you are running from,
Oh, wow.
so that you're not penalized mid-cycle.
Yes, and that's been the case with everyone I've ever dealt with. Is you are locked in till the next election. Some would say if you have an election every 2 years, some positions up in 2 years and then the rest of the positions up in an additional 2 years. Some have different arguments as to the next election, even if it's off cycle. And some do it at the end of the term. That's up to your legal counsel to make that determination for you.
So it doesn't really matter where we end up on the map.
Well, yeah, it does for future. But yes, but the good redistricting effort is also to try not to remove people from their director district. So yeah, but yeah, in this particular case, it sounds like I threw you out of office, but
That's okay. In one of the maps that you had, because of where I live, you also had a box that went out to the water and like this and then came back. And I thought I had the undersea portion of the population there.
yeah, what we're using for geography in here is called census blocks. And so it's generally the most minimal amount of land area necessary to determine population. In a downtown city core, just take 5 rights on the street, the 4 next rights, and whatever that little square is, that's a block. If there happens to be a creek running through there or a city limits, well, those will be then 2 blocks, depending on what's splitting that up. So that's what a census block is. As you get further, ruraler areas, you have less, geography. Sometimes these get a little crazy inside, but that's what I'm doing is I'm picking up those little squares within there, which are subsets of the voter precincts. So yeah. Yeah. After I finished with Director District 5, I then looked at, what was it going to be the impact on 4, which is then I grew the 4th out to the west. that area of water that had been assigned, those were just census blocks out there that are called water blocks. They have no population. I just didn't pick up the water blocks that were outside of Edmonds to do the same basic thing. But in certain gerrymandering circles, you do use water blocks to pick up little areas by still having them quote unquote connected. But yeah, we're not doing gerrymandering. Sorry.
Okay.
So yeah, the fourth had to grow, but then I ended up growing the third back up for compactness because the fourth came down sort of by the area around Mill Creek. And so to make the third district not so wild in shape, I grew the it back up, and so that makes the fourth. Granted, the 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 overall fire district's border isn't exactly compact, but that doesn't impact us for our internal boundary lines. Then, of course, the first, which I pretty much did last, came out with the cleanest lines, although I do cross into Edmonds for a slight bit on Highway 99, and it's literally 405 to 5 to, I forget the name of the street, to 99, and that's your boundary. That is super easy to work with on that. There are a couple of splits in some precincts there, like I believe up by the mall and some other areas where there's very minimal impact on population, where the city boundary line follows some unusual lines. It's easier to say 99 versus, Edmond city limits, and it's a little harder to visualize where the city limits are. So that's the basic crux of where I went with on this plan. For good or for bad, it was done without thought to you folks, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a starting point.
Great. Questions, Mr. Schweitzer?
Yeah, I'm a short timer.
Commissioner Wackelman. Commissioner
Yeah.
Wackelman, go ahead.
With this redistricting, once we say we get this approved and move forward with it, will we have to run a re-election, or
No.
are we still okay? Perfect.
Yeah, no, you get to run to the end of your term or till the next election. Your legal counsel will give you, whether it's half year cycle or the end of your term. That will be the best source of information on that. But no, I'm not kicking you out of office.
Thank you.
Is there another commissioner on Zoom that had a question? I can't see, so Commissioner Wittes, go ahead.
Yeah, the question I had, and I know it's relevant but not, is Mill Creek Southern annexation. If they actually go through that this year, that would add another 25,000 people to our area on the south end. Should we look at that today, or does it really matter?
That's more of a you guys call. If you're planning on annexing that in as well, when that happens.
Yeah, Commissioner Wittes, my sense of that is anything could happen, I suppose, but I don't know that we should plan on that, but I could be wrong. Yeah,
Well, I agree with you 100%. It was just that is a chunk of population of 25,000 on the south end. The rest of their annexations really don't impact us a whole bunch because it's within our borders today.
Yeah, I don't, if they were annexing in like, April or something, then I would say, oh, let's hold off till we get that. But just from my observation or impression of what I've seen from Mill Creek, it's kind of on the long-term agenda. And whether it comes to fruition is, I guess we'll see. So I wouldn't want to delay redistricting for something that's not really very much on the front burner. part of my interest in that is I think we made a promise to Edmonds that we would expeditiously move forward with redistricting. And, we're getting to be about a year out from the election, and I don't want to ignore the issue and make sure that we make good on our promise to do that. And depending on how things shake out, and we may want to have Rich Davis present to us at a future meeting. It is possible that some component of Edmonds, depending on how the lines are drawn, could be voting in the 2020, have a person running from Edmonds or part of Edmonds in the 2027 election. I'm just saying it's possible. So I'm just saying there's lots of balls in the air, but I don't feel like we can kick this down the road 2 or 3 years.
Well, I agree with you. I would not want to kick it down the road at all. We promised him we'd do it. I was just wondering if we wanted to engage him to do another map just in case, just so we could see what it would look like.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
That's a possibility. Mr. Schweitzer, we can get you that information on what the area, it's near Mill
Sure.
Creek, that's a potential annexation area that Mill Creek's talking about. If they annexed in, it would become part of South County Fire also.
Yeah, in this particular proposal, I also have a maximum deviation in population of negative 1,000 people, 1,039 in the 3rd district, which is less than 2% of your population. So I think we're fairly equal in population, with an emphasis on trying not to split as many precincts as possible, and while also maintaining reasonable looking lines. Some of the other ones are all below 1%, one just barely, but so this should be very defendable in population, should be defendable in compactness. Your race, we don't have any strong pockets of any particular racial groups, so we're not actively disadvantaging any particular racial groups. It's fairly well spread out. Hispanics are 5,000 in the 5th, with as your lowest to about 10,000 in the 4th as your highest. So I think overall, other than my not taking commissioners into consideration, I think it's a very good working starting point for where you might want to consider changes.
So, Mr. Schweitzer, what I'd like to have you do, just my own personal request, for when we have you come back next time, is to take Edmonds and divide it. I know you have there's a sliver down there off of Highway 99 and the county line that is in Edmonds that's the 1st district, but basically Edmonds is in the 2nd district. What I'd like to have you do is split Edmonds much more substantially right in the middle. For
50-50?
50-50, 60-40, but not just a sliver, but like substantially between two. Because one of the things that I heard from people in Edmonds in the election last year was wanting to have the opportunity for more representation, like more than just one district. And that's why I want to have a map that has 2 significant population bodies of Edmonds in 2 different districts. Because when I heard this, I was thinking of the flip side to it, which is, yeah, it's great to have 2 districts, but that also means you're watered down. You're that much less of each district. But it is true, you would be able to have residents run in 2 districts instead of 1. And so it's kind of pick your poison on that. But what I'm looking for is I want options, because one of the things that we're going to need to do, in my opinion, is we need to talk with the Edmonds City Council about that we're doing the redistricting, and maybe even show some maps and generate some public interest, hopefully around the maps, to find out what Edmonds like to do. Would they like to be in 2? Would they like to be much more concentrated in 1, so it's much more likely they have a representative in 1? Or, I'm not suggesting it today, but maybe is there a way to draw it so there's 3? I mean, what I'm looking for is some options, and I feel like the split in two, mostly in two, is a viable option. And then we can talk about it with Edmonds and see, see what the interest is around that, because because there are advantages and disadvantages to each, and I want the people to be able to see that, think about it, and then comment on it.
Jim?
Yes, Commissioner Lawrence.
Well, when Edmonds, we were first working with Edmonds, the city, some of the council people were wondering about that. And when I told them, well, you could have 2 at large and 1, you could have 3 on the board. Now, your first mention, what you said, split in 2, that could be 4 Edmonds people on the board. And then you mentioned 3 split up in 3. So this board could be composed of 5 people from Edmonds. Well, I won't be around to worry about it. I've got 5.5 more years and my sell-by date's coming up, I think, so.
Yeah, well, I had Mill Creek split 3 ways, and that was a particular bone of contention, was doing that. So that I definitely recall that. So 3-way, I get the feeling that that's probably a no. But 196 is an interesting line that goes right through Edmonds. It could be plus or minus to how we work out that 60-40, 50-50, whatever the boundary is. But it's very doable to do that. Yeah, and in that particular case, we were potentially looking at the first growing downwards and going west. That would then push the second more going north back up towards Picnic Point. It would have 0 impact on the 5th district. Any changes over there. The 5th district's always off in its own little corner. And once you find the line, that's pretty much it. The 5th district just doesn't want to play any games with us. And then the 3rd would just be pushed around as the 4th would move, and all of those lines. So that would be the basic directions with that. Or the 2nd would come down and be part, Edmonds, and then Montlake Terrace, and maybe over to Briar. One or the other, one of those 2 would shift accordingly. And then the 4th and 3rd would just adjust accordingly as well.
For these, Morris, did you have a comment?
Yeah, excuse me, I have a couple questions. For part of the parameters for redistricting, you said looking into like-minded
Communities of interest.
yes. So how is that process determined?
That's a very broad statement.
Okay.
So communities of interest, in this particular case, we've often considered whole cities as, communities of interest. But we're also taking into consideration the precincts, the voter districts. So minimize county workload. But yes, within these things are anyone's interpretation of people of common interest. The more well-to-do people are typically on the waterfront. You've got more of the urban area up along 99, and of course around the freeways and such. It's your interpretation. What are communities of interest? Yeah.
Yeah, on that note, I think when my first look at this map, the biggest issue that I see from an Edmonds perspective is the disenfranchised area of Edmonds that we get a lot of feedback of not really feeling as part of the community, is what was lopped off of the rest of the community that they don't feel like they're a part of. So that would be my first major concern. And then also I think the differences within Edmonds are more north to south than east and west. You can get more like-minded people if you're going, like you said, off of 196 between Edmonds, unincorporated Edmonds and Linwood, than necessarily all of Edmonds into that
Yeah.
one district, if that makes sense.
That definitely plays into the two district splitting of Edmonds. So yeah.
Great. Are there other, so I'd like to see a map that does the
Sure.
splits on Edmonds. Maybe you could incorporate some of what board liaison Morris is talking about, particularly with that sliver down near, at the bottom, down near the county line. But I wanted to see if other board members had other thoughts about seeing the maps in other ways. Because what I'm hoping to do is have Mr. Schweitzer come back maybe in a month or 6 weeks with some more maps, so we can see, because this is a starting point, this is not an ending point. It could be an ending point, but it doesn't have to be. And that's why I have some options, because I think we also then need to do some outreach with Edmonds around this before we come to a conclusion. And we're not under any big time pressure, although I think we want to diligently move forward. But now is a great time if any board members have thoughts about the maps, you'd like to see it drawn in a different way, now is a great time to chime in. Yes, Commissioner Furnoff.
Since my continuation with the organization is at risk here, can you reaffiliate? Kind of just look at your current map right now that you have, and you'll see I'm District 2, and I kind of come down into the Meadowdale area. And so this one firmly says either I'm moving or I'm no longer part of the agency. And I just looking at the chief, if I tell him I'm leaving, he's probably not going to like that idea too much. So.
Well, then I think you would potentially benefit for me getting the addresses from a certain individual here, and me looking at how to split Edmonds 2 ways, which would then meet all of the information that I've gotten here so far. So yeah, that's that would be an exciting interesting change to see about growing the second above somewhere along the line of 196, depending on the population, how that goes. And then probably moving the first to be the southernmost commissioner district.
We won't throw in the monkey wrench that Mukilteo will join us, and then that throws the whole game. But
well, I've looked at those numbers too, and I've looked at the numbers of adding Everett as well. You're going to get a lot of change in the when we deal with adding Everett as well.
Any other commissioner, board member wishes regarding the maps? Other ways for Mr. Schweitzer to think about the maps, drop the maps? If not, you can always email me or Ms. Blankenship to get that information to Mr. Schweitzer. But if possible, Mr. Schweitzer, I'd like to have you come back. I don't know, depending on your schedule, maybe in a month, maybe in 6 weeks, we can work out a good meeting, bring back at least that one new map or a couple maps.
Sure.
And we can talk some more about maps because that'll help the board as we kind of move slowly but surely forward on a redistricting process. So I appreciate you being here tonight to talk with the board and kind of introduce the process or reintroduce to some of us the process of redistricting.
I always enjoy hanging out with you guys.
Great. All right. Sounds good. Unless there are any other questions from the board members? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Schweitzer. All right. That moves us forward in the agenda then to committee updates, starting with capital facilities and Commissioner Wankelman.
Only committee update was acknowledged and addressed by Chief earlier with the meeting between intergovernmental chair and the capital facilities chair, and then the vote that we conducted this evening.
Great, sounds good. Finance and Human Resources, Commissioner Chan is not with us. I can't remember who else is on that. Dear. Oh, is Commissioner Wankelman? Do you have anything for us from Finance and Human Resources with Commissioner Chan being out?
No update on Finance and Human Resources.
Fair enough. Thank you. Commissioner, next is intergovernmental, and that's Commissioner Wittes.
Nothing new. We have not had a meeting, but Commissioner Winkleman talked about the group meeting we're going to have.
That sounds good. And then lastly, Snow 911, Commissioner Furnoff.
Yeah, we met in person last month, Thursday, voted in replacement of Chief Eastman as Chief Maxwell, who's now officially the second for Snow 911. So that was confirmed. We had a long discussion about the role of what they call VHF radio within the county, and there's an associated price tag to activate that particular function if it's deemed necessary. It's just shy of about $1 million or so. Part of the discussion was, since the taxpayer was paying for what they considered to be a modernization of the existing radio system, I called into question why these components weren't part of that upgrade. And so that will probably be a continuing discussion as we move forward. There is believe an audit that took place as well, and I believe it came out successful. Do you recall anything else, Chief, from the discussion points? Okay, I think that's about it. So our next meeting will be virtual. We will not be meeting at the facility as far as I know, and that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Furnoff. That takes us forward to item number 14, which is commissioner comments. Any commissioner comments? Any commissioner comments?
Yeah.
Commissioner Furnoff, go ahead.
Just me again. As some of you just to kind of put a bug out there and collectively talk about what's going on in the world. As you know, the U.S. attacked Iran, and subsequently Iran has attacked many neighbors. I just got something on my phone that we have a ground operation in Ecuador that's currently underway. So dynamically, things are changing. As part of the emergency management world, one of the things that we do rely on, have relied on in the past, is the National Terrorism Alert System, or NTAS. These are where alerts are issued to civil authority to gauge civil preparedness. If you go to the website, you'll see a red banner that says, due to the lack of funding, this website is not updated. What I'm identifying here and putting in everyone's sort of consciousness is there is a gap in communication from the federal level down. And so what we're really kind of paranoid about right now, because this was the same posture that we took when Russia invaded Ukraine, is the high potential for cyber attack. There will be a call tomorrow that hopefully we'll get a little bit more information on, but everybody should be aware, our cities and so forth, to remain vigilant at this time for any retaliatory actions against the U.S. for its invasion of these various countries. So that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Any other commissioner comments? I've got one. The Snow Isle Fire Commissioners will be meeting here in our board meeting room on Thursday night. We're hosting. It's our annual hosting of one of those meetings. It'll be 7 o'clock here. We will have Chief Curtis is going to talk about apparatus, kind of give an apparatus overview and update for the commissioners. And Ms. Snyder, if I recall correctly, the Director of Public Works at Snohomish County, will be here to talk about a transportation benefit district that the council wants to create in the unincorporated part of the county to help pay for unincorporated county area roads, which we use. So she'll be talking about that. So so a good time will be had by all. So I encourage you to come out. And the added benefit is, although for everybody that's here, our board meeting room is not too far away, but just in case something happens, we do have a Zoom component that's available. Thank you to Ms. Blankenship assisting me on that. So it's a hybrid meeting. You can attend either in person. We'll have a little coffee and cookies, or you can come in by Zoom. But either way, I encourage you to attend. And that's Thursday night, 7 o'clock, right here. So coming up. Any other commissioner comments? All right. If not, then we have an Yes. Yes, I indicated earlier that he hasn't excused without objection. He is excused from the meeting for being out of town. Next up, we have an executive session. So we have two items to it. The first is potential litigation pursuant to RCW 4231.10.1I. And then we have the second part is collective bargaining pursuant to RCW 4231.44, the Hammersmith grievance appeal. And so, Chief, for those two combined, 45 minutes, an hour? Hour? Okay. Well, why don't we take our evening break till approximately 8:15 or so on that clock there. And then we'll start the executive session approximately 8:15, run it to 9:15. And we may take action at the conclusion of the executive session. So without objection, we'll be in a brief recess till about 8:15, back to executive session for those items. Thank you. Okay, we are back on the record after our executive session, and we are ready to take up the Hammersmith grievance appeal. And that will be our next issue. And on that matter, I will move that the board deny the Hammersmith grievance appeal, supporting the chief's disciplinary decision, and authorize the chair to send a brief letter to Local 1828 to that effect. So I moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been seconded, moved and seconded to do that. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And with that, I don't believe we have any other business for the board. Our next meeting is next Tuesday for our work session meeting at 7 p.m. right back here in the boardroom. And with that, without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.
See you Thursday, Jim.
Sounds good.